Hi, I'm Harold Anthony. Welcome to City Line.
And I'm Jackie All. Are we still searching for our cultural identity? Is black passé? Dr. Ben Alexander says we are Americans of African descent, and we'll discuss his views today on City Line. But Lester Austin takes issue with that as we redefine our cultural name.
Also, as we promised, jazz vocalist Bill Withers, still Bill himself, will be along to tell us about the new priorities in his life.
Welcome to City Line. We're talking about to be called black or African American with our guests today. Dr. Ben Alexander, what's wrong with calling us black?
You know, it's a damn shame. We've been in this country over 200 years, and we're still black, and we're not Americans of African descent. Okay. And this will hinder us because we're going to be different, and people are going to pick on us as long as we're different.
Okay, Lester Austin, what's wrong with calling us African Americans?
I believe that it's my personal opinion that we've come a long way so far, and we've done a lot of things to encourage a lot of situations to develop. And for us to be changing our names at this time is something that is taking a lot of time, and it's taking time that we can utilize in other areas to be much stronger than what we are.
Okay. The status quo is the beginning of the end, and I want to say loud and clear, the Defender had a survey just recently, and they indicated in this survey that people who call themselves black are less intelligent, they're less healthy, they're more prone to be poor, they're more prone to be on drugs, and that's why I'm an American. I'm not black.
But this is just a survey that was done by the Chicago Defender with no disrespect to their surveys, but just like all of us know, surveys only touch so many people in our population. While we're wasting time, as what I would say, as far as trying to define with no disrespect to anyone at all, looking at the word African America, we are black. We're here at this time. We have a battle on our hand, a national epidemic that's taking us away day by day. Here in the Baltimore area, we have the Marshall's Funeral Home, and as you enter that funeral home, it's a beautiful funeral home, and they will tell you that they're, at this time, are burying more young black people than ever before.
Let me ask both of you, and I want you both to respond to this. I would imagine that there are some people out there who are looking at us right now and saying, oh my heavens, what an insignificant issue, please.
It's not insignificant because what you are is most important. It gives you self-worth, self-esteem, and everything else. This country has always connoted black with something that's evil. My wife goes to the store with a list. They add black to it, it becomes blacklist. You know, you go to the market. Nothing's wrong with going to the market. They add black to it, it becomes black market. There's nothing wrong with mail. I love to get mail. You add black to it, it becomes black mail. Now he's saying he's black. These shoes are black, and he's not this color. He speaks with a forked tongue. Speak truthfully.
Well, I speak truthful to the fact that when I was young, and you're an old man, see, and you understand that you've been through many changes in your life. I'm saying that these changes that we're going through because of the battles that your generation have fought have become lessened. But yet, we must fight the epidemic that's occurring. We have to not take time and utilize time as far as fighting for a name. Does a name mean that much of a difference at this time when there's people are dying on our streets?
Now, why don't we just be truthful? Scientists have proven what the Bible has stated over and over. There was an Eve. Now, Stanford University has gone back by tracing radioactive isotopes and so forth, radioactive genetic traits and so forth, and they found out that the first person on earth was one called Eve, and she came from the cradle of civilization. Everybody out there carries African blood, and why do you want to say some are white and some are black? Now take a sheet of paper that's white. Nobody out there is that color because they have melanin, and if they didn't have melanin, they ought to get down on their knees and pray to God because if they didn't have it, the ultraviolet light from the sun would burn them up.
So, Dr. Alexander, you don't think this is a game of and an issue of semantics, just word games, whether or not we're colored, Negro, black, African-American. It's not a word game to you?
No, it's for real. And Jesse Jackson now, for 22 years, I've been saying we were not black, being kicked in the fanny every day, but every time you kick me in the fanny, you kick me forward. Now, Jesse Jackson comes out 3 or 4 weeks ago and say we're African-Americans. All over Washington, D.C. and Chicago, we're now African-Americans. He's got to go one step further and say we're Americans. Then we will be on the inside looking out instead of on the outside looking in.
But let me say this. While you're out fighting this battle, as far as being African-American or Afro-American, how about the battle that is actually being engaged right now in the family of our black Americans today, that the families are
don't
so
call me
divided.
black. I'm an American. You can be black, and there's nothing wrong with it. But remember, when you say you're black, you're saying you're less intelligent than people who are Americans of African descent.
There's no one of less intelligence. Well, God created no junk. He knows what he's doing. If you question that, then I would have to question you. And I understand that you won't question that. So therefore, I say again, God creates no junk. Right now, tonight, in the black families here in Baltimore, between the hours of 9 o'clock this evening and 3 o'clock in the morning, we will have 6 homicides. These homicides...
So that's the issue for you. It's not whether or not we call ourselves anything, it's that issue.
It's the issue that...
such as that.
It's the issue that we're dying out as a race. We have a lost generation, black generation. This is what's being lost. Our youth, for our tomorrow's leaders, they're being wiped out in a drug epidemic, and right now, we're looking at an issue as far as African-American. I say that that's a fine issue, but this is not the time to address that issue.
Right, now,
what we need to do is go forth and fight the true battle that is a national epidemic.
You said I want to question that. You say God made you black and made me an American. And then let me say something. God, for some reason, people have IQs of 60. Some have IQs of 172. Some people are born ill and deformed. Some are not. Now, I'm not saying God did that, but these things have happened. God made you what you are, and I'm proud. See, no one who was born in the world chose their mother or their father. No one who was born in the world chose the circumstances of their parents from an economic standpoint.
Dr. Alexander, let me have you respond to the issues he's raising, though, concerning the serious problems within our community, whether we call it a black community or an African-American community. Address yourself to those problems.
But those are very serious things. People on drugs, people on not becoming educated.
Well,
let me finish. People, not reading, people not working.
Do you feel that our focus should be on those issues as opposed to whether or not we call ourselves one thing or another?
What you call yourself means you focus upon those. You take people who call themselves Americans of African descent. Let's go back. You may not think that Defender article was sound. I do think it's sound. The people I know who call themselves Americans are generally scientists, they're doctors, they're physicians. Not all. But let me finish the great majority, because they have excelled, because they have pride and self-worth.
Well, I understand that, and I have to cut you off right here, because just like you said, that was then, this is now. We're talking about a now generation, our future leaders. You have been to the mountaintop. You have looked over into the valley. We are up and coming, but we have something stagnation in our growth. This is the epidemic of drugs that I'm referring to. This is what we need to address. Here in Baltimore, we have a school system where children are afraid to go to school. They're asking for help right now. They say, please come now. They're asking us to give them assistance before the winter.
Okay, let me stop you right there. We're going to continue, but we must take a break at this moment. We'll come back with our debate right after this. We left Lester Austin just at the break of winter, and you wanted to finish your point, and I cut you off.
That's correct. What I'm saying is our children today are asking for help before the winter comes, because by winter, it may be too late. It may be too late. They're asking for help now. On the Oprah Winfrey Show just a couple of months ago, She had the show here in Baltimore, indicating that in the school systems here, they're having an epidemic. Kids are scared to go into the school. Right now, the Board of Education in Baltimore have made proposals as far as putting devices at the door to detect as far as weapons coming into the schools.
Well, now, can I speak to that? Since you called yourself black and those young people calling themselves black, when I went to school, we were in 10% of the levels. When I went to school, we studied chemistry, physics, medicine, law, and those things. And when I went to school, we had to work. We knew what work was. And when I went to school, we saved. This is why we have things. Now, since we've been calling ourselves black, our health has gone down. When I came along, people were healthy. You call me an old man, I can outrun you right now.
But do you link that to the calling of ourselves black?
Oh, sure, because every time you denigrate your own self, you have no self-worth, you have no self-esteem. This society has made the term black, the adjective black, bad. And now I see them yelling and screaming around, we want to see capital B in black. It's an adjective. You can't capitalize it.
Okay, let me ask you again, Dr. Alexander. So for you, the whole issue is a cultural link that started long before the shores of America and the Caribbean. Is that correct?
See, to me, he says he's black. Where is black land? I am an American of African descent. There's an Africa. I have African blood in me,
so
and
it's
I'm
a
proud of it.
cultural issue for you.
But he has black blood in him. You know, he's illegitimate. Because if he's not illegitimate, you're illegitimate. Let me finish. You're illegitimate because there's no fatherland called black.
Well,
that's why you're illegitimate. I am not illegitimate because there's a fatherland called Africa. Now he's unhappy because he's illegitimate.
Well, see, that I can understand your reasoning and the battle that you fight. But at this time, like I said, this energy that's being utilized as far as a name should be used in another direction.
Well, I do both.
And that direction should go toward the youth for the day.
Well, see, I do both.
Again, I'd like to say to you, I said this earlier, just before we came on the air, that strong couples make strong and happy families. Happy families make happy communities. Happy communities make happy cities, and happy cities make happy states. And this is what we need, because happy states will make happy nations.
The only thing to make people happy is money, and you get money from education. Let me tell you something. I go around this whole country preaching because I'm a research professor at American University. If you're in a bachelor's degree in a lifetime, you learn $600,000. You're in a master's degree, you learn $700,000. But if you're in a PhD, or a DDS, or an MD, you will earn over $2 million in a lifetime.
Let me ask another question, since we're running out of time here. The whole issue of time, how long is it going to take before that kind of conversion to take place? It took us 20 years to call ourselves black, and there's still people, including some of my students, who call themselves colored and Negro. How long will it take for us to call ourselves African-American?
Well, see, we're calling ourselves African-Americans now. Do you mean how long will it take for us to be Americans? I hope Jesse Jackson will come out one day and say, we are not African-Americans. We're Americans of African descent. We're Americans like everyone else, and you're not different.
And that gives us the cultural identity.
And people will stop picking on us.
Okay, we have just a few minutes left. Let me give you a couple of summarizing segments or time.
Well, what I feel is the family unit has to be strong again. At that time, once the family units are strong and the emphasis are placed on education, right now, if you look in education, the dropout rate is at an all-time high. Once we get educated again, then we can utilize ourselves to work on the names that we want. But right now, we have to get our house in order. Okay. Our house is not in order.
Dr. Alexander.
I'd see, my point is this. The only thing we can do to move ahead is be on the inside or in the mainstream. And I hope and pray that we will be Americans and not black, not African Americans, nor anything else. You take this person, he'll tell you, I'm an American of Polish ancestry. I'm an American of German ancestry. I'm an American of Italian ancestry.
And so you'd like for the day to come when we would say,
I'm an American of African descent, and not be illegitimate, as he is illegitimate every time he calls himself black. He doesn't like it, but he's illegitimate.
Wow. Well, let me thank both of you. I hope that he doesn't mean that in the other sense.
No, I don't mean it. No, I don't mean it that way. I'm only saying he's illegitimate black. Yeah.
Thank you both for coming by, because what you've allowed us to do is at least debate the issue, and I think there's merit in both of your stances, really.
Yeah, because
and
he's old and I'm young, we won't. Because he's old and I'm young, we won't fight over this. We'll work together.
Great.
And just like he indicated, education is the key to this.
Okay, and that's a positive note on which to end. Thank you both for coming. The community calendar is up next, so stay with us.
You're smart.
Please let us know, and you can write to us, care of this address, City Line, WJZ-TV, TV Hill, Baltimore, Maryland, 21211.
Well, if you thought that was a stimulating conversation that was featured on Jackie's segment a little earlier, wait till you come back and see the conversation I had with Still Bill Withers. That's coming up right after this.
Yeah, I get it. And the sunlight hurts my eyes. There's something when I want it, love.
You know, in these days and times, it's rare to find an entertainer who is independent of the music that he sings. Well, Bill Withers is such a man. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even have a manager because he doesn't want to become, pardon the expression, a slave to the rhythm. He gave a very sobering interview.
In the morning, love, yeah, I get it. And the sunlight hurts my eyes. And something when I want it, love.
Mostly what I try to do is say things that I felt were important enough to me to try to maybe put in some form that somebody could keep. Some people write books, and I think people write things because they think that what they had to say at that time is important enough to save. And one way to save it is to put it in some kind of an art form. People paint pictures, you know. They see things visually and they want to keep it. So it's just a way of keeping stuff. I've tried to explore different kinds of things other than just romantic love. I mean, I've had fun writing about things like my grandmother, you know.
Grandma's.
I enjoyed doing that because because I wasn't a slave to some girl I met, you know, ooh, baby, oh, you know, I like that too, but I've written songs about friendship, you know. Lean on Me is not a love song, it's about being friends, you know what I'm saying?
Well, in Grandma's hand, clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hand played a tambourine so well. Well, Grandma's hands used to each other out in the morning. She'd say, Billy, don't you run so fast. Might fall on a piece of glass. Might be snakes down in that grass. Grandma's hand. Grandma's hand.
I'm probably happiest about the music that I've written that's been recycled, because that means that the thing that I intended it for it to be was to put down something that you were thinking so somebody can keep it.
Used to lift up and fill up dreams, say, baby, Grandma, understand that you really love that thing. Put yourself in Jesus' hand, Grandma's hand.
What did you do before you got involved in music? You were a late bloomer. 33, that's a late bloomer in the music world.
Yeah, I was a late bloomer in music, but I think I had a ballad life before. I was in the Navy 9 years. I was an aircraft mechanic, you know. I mean, I had skills. I mean, I wasn't some kind of loser that, you know, people like to think of these rags to riches story, but I was okay before music.
Mm-hmm.
I was a guy that had a skill that went to work every day.
You put a large emphasis on growing, personal growth. In what ways are you still growing now?
Well, hopefully you get smarter. Hopefully you don't lose interest in things, you know. Your roles change. As you add things to your life, your roles change. I mean, now I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm you know, I'm a lot of things now. My lifestyle has never been to wear the living that I made in terms of, you know, clothes and a whole lot of goofy looking stuff, you know, that they only sell to people that are entertainers, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they must have some tailor somewhere that makes stupid stuff for people to wear. You know what I mean? Because they know that pretty soon somebody's going to get a hit record and they're going to go out and buy this stupid stuff and wear it around, you know, gold, funny looking stuff like that. That's not my style. You know? I'm not that kind of guy. So I have a love for a well-poured concrete foundation, you know what I mean? I have a love for a square door and windows that don't leak air and things that are done well, you know what I mean? I like music, but not as much as I like my kids, you know. But that's a pretty narrow life, wouldn't you think, to just do that?
I get to heaven, I'm gonna look for Grandma's hand.
You know, Jackie, out of all of the interviews that I've ever done, I think Bill Withers had the most, was the most sobering experience.
I would think challenging, too.
Oh, yeah, I needed 8 hours sleep after talking to that guy.
Next week, Yolanda King, the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., will be with us.
And joining me next week, that gospel soul sensation from right here in Baltimore, Mr. Wintley Phipps, be here. I'm Harold Anthony.
I'm Jackie Hall. Enjoy your day.